It's 8 p.m. in Banjul. This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Karaba Avenue. And I am Jul Denjai. Thank you for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. President Barrow attended the 7th edition of the Gambia Revenue Authority's annual Taxpayers Award, where QCell Gambia Limited, the first Gambian-owned GSM company, retained the GSM Taxpayer of the Year award. Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow presided over the 23rd annual meeting of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development Board of Governors held in the Gambia on Monday. The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy commenced a week-long training program on diplomatic etiquette and protocol for 12 senior officials on Monday. The Gambia Commission for Refugees under the Ministry of Interior commenced a 2-day training program for border security officers on identifying and referring individuals seeking asylum and refugee status in the Gambia. In a groundbreaking achievement for Gambian agriculture, Evergreen Farm has successfully completed the country's first ever apple harvest, challenging long-term beliefs that apples cannot thrive in the Gambia's climate. These and other stories coming ahead. Do stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News, and now let us look at the news in detail. President Adama Barrow attended the 7th edition of the Gambia Revenue Authority's annual Taxpayers Award, where QCell Gambia Limited, the first Gambian-owned GSM company, retained the GSM Taxpayer of the Year award. The event recognized and celebrated top-performing tax-compliant companies across the country. Aliu Sise was there, and this is his report.
It was a night of glitz and gratitude at the Gambia Revenue Authority's 7th annual Taxpayers Award ceremony on Saturday, where businesses were recognized and celebrated for timely tax filings and payment for the year ended 2024. The awards, modeled after Rwanda's long-standing taxpayer recognition tradition, aim to boost moral and encourage tax compliance among businesses. For the 4th consecutive edition, President Barrow attended the event, reflecting his government's renewed focus on revenue-driven development. From the Hakalang Road to other ongoing infrastructure projects, President Barrow highlighted how tax revenue is powering development.
My government's objectives remain clear. It is to utilize the revenue collected responsibly and effectively, challenging every bit of it into public works and services that directly benefit the Gambian people. I extend my sincere gratitude to the Commissioner General, Mr. Yankuba Dab, for this unwavering commitment to reforming and digitizing our tax system and processes.
Commissioner General Yankuba Dabo revealed that GRA exceeded its 2024 revenue target of $19.2 billion, collecting over $20.8 billion. He said the authority has now set its sights on collecting $23 billion by end of 2025, which averages nearly $2 billion per month, with plans to digitize tax operations already underway.
It is important to emphasize that this remarkable performance was not achieved through an increase in tax rates, which have remained constant for almost a decade now. Rather, the revenue performance is the result of a strategic reform and initiative aimed at widening the tax base, compliance, and enhancing efficiency through digitalization of our systems and processes.
The night saw companies such as QCell Gambia retain the most compliant and outstanding GSM taxpayer in terms of timely filing of tax returns, payment of corporate income tax, pay-as-you-earn PAYE, withholding tax, value-added tax, excise telecom tax, GSM license, spectrum fees, custom duties, and general compliance with the revenue laws. This is how one of the Gambia's most prominent entrepreneurs and chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, reacted upon receiving the award, while thanking all his members of staff, particularly the finance department, for making it possible.
Before we sign our salaries, we sign the taxpayer, the taxes we owe to the government. This is an obligation. And this certificate You see, the award you see is, for me, is one of the most important, if not the most important award we receive every year. You know, it's not like any other award. I think the president and the government and the GRA recognizing that we have paid our taxes on time, we are compliant with the tax laws in the Gambia. I think there is no award which is better than this award. I would like to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for creating the enabling environment for businesses to thrive.
Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Sidi Keita praised the ongoing reforms implemented under the current leadership of the Gambia Revenue Authority, describing them as essential steps towards achieving long-term fiscal sustainability.
Today, we recognize not just the fulfillment of the award of your civic duty, but the embodiment of responsible citizenship and a deep commitment to the development of the Gambia in ways not seen since independence.
Dauda M. Indur, new chairman, GRA Board of Directors, said the new board is up to the task to ensure more accomplishments under the current management. GRA presented special awards to Finance Minister Sidi Keita and President Barrow for their unwavering efforts and commitment in maximizing revenue mobilization. As the curtain falls on the 7th Taxpayers Award, the message is clear: compliance count. And for businesses hoping to make the stage next year, the time to act is now. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Now, Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow presided over the 23rd annual meeting of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development Board of Governors held in the Gambia on Monday. And Sumana Esonyasi reports.
Chaired by the Gambia's Minister of Finance, Sidi Keita, regional finance experts praised the country's economic performance under the Barrow administration. The EBID Board of Governors meeting marks the end of the Gambia's finance minister's tenure as chair of the regional bank. The event also saw the signing of a $10 million joint facility to the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation, aimed at boosting production, ensuring sustainability and creating employment. On behalf of President Adama Barrow, Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow welcomed the ECOWAS Bank's Board of Governors. VP Jallow highlighted the bank's significant contribution to alleviating poverty in the region through various financial support initiatives and interventions. He also assured attendees of the Gambia government's commitment to transforming the country and improving livelihoods as outlined in the nation's key national frameworks.
To this end, I recognize the previous support that the Gambia has received, especially in rural electrification, to increase access to electricity in rural areas. However, my government is concerned with the present EBID portfolio in the Gambia. Currently, about 4 Gambian projects are under consideration. I'm calling on the President, Danko, and team to expedite and expand their operations in the Gambia.
Outgoing ECOWAS Bank Chairman, the Gambia's Finance Minister Sidi Keita, highlighted the bank's achievements under his leadership, while noting challenges like debt sustainability. He urged member countries to settle their subscriptions before the 2025 deadline.
Measures taken by the advanced economies to curb inflation had mixed effects on borrowing costs for developing and emerging markets, including ECOWAS countries. Although the rate cuts by the European Central Bank and projected easing by the US Federal Reserve reduced global borrowing costs for dollar-denominated loans, countries with high inflation or external vulnerabilities face pressures to tighten domestic monetary policies.
Dr. George Nana Akiekum Donko, president of the EBID Board of Governors, praised the bank's contributions to advancing economic growth and sustainable development in West Africa under the leadership of the Gambia's finance minister. He noted that the total mobilized resources during the period amounted to an impressive $288 million. Additionally, he revealed significant improvements in approval ratings, further revealing that resource mobilization for 2025 is set at $500 million.
I am pleased to report that EBID was awarded the Financial Institution of the Year at the 2024 African Sustainability Awards held in Accra, Ghana on December 30th, 2024. The whole of Africa, we won the African Sustainability Awards.
Over the years, EBID has made significant progress, registering an authorized capital of $3.5 billion in 2023, with 70% of this capital held by regional shareholders from the 15 ECOWAS member states. As the bank looks ahead to its next meeting in Accra, Ghana, officials express satisfaction with the bank's performance, particularly in mobilizing resources and executing commercial and industrial interventions that are positively impacting millions of lives across West Africa. Answana Nyasi for KTV News.
And now, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy on Monday commenced an intensive week-long training program on diplomatic etiquette and protocol for 12 senior officials. The initiative is designed to enhance their knowledge of diplomatic practices and foster stronger international relations for the Gambia. Usman Jatta tells us more.
The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy plays a vital role in the Gambia's national development, spearheading initiatives in sustainable electrification, petroleum exploration, and the attraction of foreign investment. The training is aimed at strengthening the ministry's capacity to participate in high-level negotiations, build strategic international partnerships, and effectively champion the Gambia's energy interest on the global stage. Lamin Kamara, Permanent Secretary at the ministry, underscored the importance of complementing technical expertise with strong diplomatic and interpersonal skills to successfully navigate complex international engagements.
I mean, you meet counterparts, business associates. I mean, you need to know the etiquettes you need to deal with when you are meeting with them. And we think it is important that, because since we all travel, we go and meet other dignitaries in other conferences or forums, we need to also be prepared and really exposed to what are the etiquettes and due protocols to be followed.
A key focus of the training is business etiquette, an essential yet frequently overlooked element of diplomacy. Participants are being equipped with the skills to manage high-level meetings, navigate cross-cultural communication, and present themselves with professionalism and confidence in international environments. Leading the training is Ibrahim Usman Dur, a retired Gambian ambassador and current CEO of Diplomacy Etiquette and Protocol Consulting.
Business etiquette is more than just a set of rules. It is the foundation upon which professional relationships are built and sustained. It comprises a set of behavioral norms and guidelines that govern how individuals interact and communicate in a business environment.
Experts agree that mastering business etiquette fosters a respectful work environment, builds trust, enhances credibility, and paves the way for global collaboration and professional growth. Keba Sedikan, Senior Corporate Communications Officer at the Gambian National Petroleum Company, and Alaji Manjang, Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry, both expressed optimism about the training.
This training couldn't have come a better time, than now. It is very, very essential because GNPC is a new corporation that is trying to structure up so many things. Particularly corporate communication has just come into formation just for the past 2 years. So certainly creating a training of this nature is an exposure, to me.
We participate in several international important forums, and of course we interact with high-level officials. And it will be very, very important for us to at least master the game of how do we interact at that level.
By the end of the program, participants are expected to acquire valuable knowledge in diplomacy, protocol, and business etiquette, essential tools for representing the Gambia with professionalism, confidence, and integrity on the international stage. Osman Chata, QTV News.
Now we will take a short commercial break. When we return, we will hear about a groundbreaking moment in Gambian agriculture as a farmer successfully completes the country's first ever apple harvest, as well as the end of the road for the Gambia at the CAF Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Do stay tuned.
fii mooy fan fii mooy Inasa di place bi nga xam ne moom la ñëpp taam place bii bépp xeetu ataaya bu baax rek bu dugg see ci dëkk bi xamal li fii rek la am bara warga bii neex na lool saf na ba pare tamit nag am gu bu neex boo ko naanee rek da ngay kontaan ci saa añ ba suur ba gëreesal li nga lekk jëndal baara ataaya bii ndax moom la ñëpp taam gis nga sama client bii ataaya bu neex bu ne moom laa koy njëkk a jox ndax moom kat ataaya bu neex rek lay wër baara warga bii mooy warga bi gën te moo gën a saf kon nag ràññee leen ko bu baax kon daw leen gaaw ca Banjul foofu ca Inasa di place bi nga xam ni foofu rek nga ko mën a amee wholesale wala retail mu ngi foofu ci boori court house bi foofu ca Banjul wala nga daw ci bépp marché bépp supermarket bépp boutique fépp foo dugg rek di nga mën a am baara warga bii nga xam ne moom la ñëpp di wër tey baara warga moo dàq ci warga yi man maa ngi ci moom ndax su ma maree ataaya moom rek lay naan.
Ça va? Ça va, bien.
Oryx, with you all the way.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. Now to the rest of our stories. On Monday, the Gambia Commission for Refugees under the Ministry of Interior launched a two-day training program for border security officers on identifying and referring individuals seeking asylum and refugee status in the Gambia. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
The participants in the training program include officials from the Gambia Immigration Department, the Gambia Police Force, the Gambia Revenue Authority, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and the State Intelligence Services. This initiative comes at a critical time as global, regional, and national migration patterns grow increasingly complex. A key focus of the training is the concept of mixed movements, where diverse groups, including refugees, asylum seekers, economic migrants, victims of trafficking, and unaccompanied minors travel along similar routes. These individuals often rely on the same smuggling networks, but their legal statuses and protection needs differ, highlighting the necessity for effective identification and response mechanisms. Refugees are individuals who have been forced to flee their home country due to war, violence, persecution, or natural disaster, while asylum seekers are those who have left their country in search of protection in another nation. Commissioner Ibrahim Amane, the head of the Gambia Commission for Refugees, highlighted the key components of the training.
The training program will focus on two main important key component areas. Firstly, identification and referral of asylum seekers to asylum procedures. This session will equip you with tools and best practices to identify individuals who may be in need of international protection and ensure they are referred appropriately within the national asylum system.
Commissioner Mane stated the importance of this training for frontline officers.
Every one of you play a vital role in building a future where no one is forced to risk their lives in search of safety or a dignified life.
Inspector Bakari Jallo, one of the participants, expressed how the knowledge acquired during the training will positively influence his daily duties.
At the end of the training, I expect to be able to identify asylum seekers and then also to refer them to asylum procedures. And then after the training, when I go back to my workplace, I will share the knowledge gained from this training with my colleagues at Banjul International Airport.
Participants were also guided on the principles of the international protection and UNHCR's mandate that protect the rights of refugees and obligations. Over the course of the 2 days, participants will concentrate on crucial areas such as the identification and proper referral of asylum seekers, along with protection against sexual exploitation and abuses. These focus areas are essential for ensuring that individuals seeking refuge receive the protection and rights guaranteed to them under the international law. By bringing together frontline officers from various agencies, this training aims to establish a cohesive and well-informed response framework, ensuring that the Gambia remains a safe haven for those fleeing persecution and conflict, while also upholding the integrity of its border and migration systems. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafat Gay.
Now, in a groundbreaking moment for Gambian agriculture, Evergreen Farm has successfully carried out the country's first ever apple harvest. The event, held on Saturday in Ruma village near Birkama in the West Coast region, defied long-term beliefs that apples cannot grow in the Gambia's climate. Our Bob visited the farm, and this is her report.
For years, many had been skeptical about the possibility of growing temperature fruits like apples in the heat of West Africa. A Gambian entrepreneur, Suleiman Job, is at the forefront of revolutionizing fruit cultivation in the Gambia by growing apples and other exotic fruits. As an expert and representative of the African Food Network enterprise, Job is passionate about reducing the country's dependence on imported fruits. His long-term vision is to not only meet the local demand for these fruits, but also to tap into international markets.
Gambia is a country that mainly export all its fruits, example apples. So my company is looking forward to grow all those imported products here in the Gambia, the likely of apples and other exotic fruits. In the next 5-10 years, I see my company supplying, the whole world, because that's the target. We're not only targeting to supply Gambia. We're planning to supply international markets and neighboring countries around Senegal, Mali.
This milestone paves the way for future investments in non-traditional crops, encourages further research, and inspire local farmers to adopt innovative agricultural practices. Mamadi Jane is the technical advisor of Evergreen Farm.
We got some challenges like water, these termites, also the support. But as far as we go along, anything you are doing, as you are going along, you learn from it and you're able to know how to overcome it.
According to the farm's manager, Demba Jao, the key to successful growth of apple trees lies in the meticulous adaptation of farming techniques to match the Gambia's local climate and soil conditions.
So lepp lo xamne ni try loko do de muna xamne li dina dox wala du dox.
You never truly know if something will work until you give it a try. That's why we are taking the bold step to cultivate apples in the Gambia. Our goal is not just to grow apples, but to create a new market, one that inspires others to recognize the opportunity and get involved. This is not just a firm, it's a movement aimed at expanding the boundaries of what's possible.
Kalilu Drame, the representative of the proprietor of Evergreen Farm, expressed immense pride in the farm's achievement. He highlighted the significance of this milestone.
Well, the apple is about a year now, but the whole Evergreen concept has been since 2007 when we started purchasing land and just expanding land in different areas in the Combo here. An apple a day keeps the doctors away. But it's a market that that is not even in its infancy in the Gambia. So we find it interesting to explore into that market.
This historic apple harvest is not just a success for the farm, but a beacon of hope and possibility for the future of agriculture in the Gambia. It shows that with determination and a willingness to embrace new ideas, as Evergreen Farm has proven, the future of farming in the Gambia is full of endless possibilities waiting to be explored. For QTV News, I am Our Bob.
Now, the Gambia under-17 national team fell short of securing a spot at the FIFA under-17 World Cup after a 2-1 defeat to Uganda in Saturday's decisive playoff match at the CAF under-17 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Momodo Gajaga followed the match and brings us this report.
The young Scorpions got off to a promising start with Ahmed Njundukanyi putting them ahead in the first half. His low drive strike gave Gambia early momentum and raised hopes of the World Cup qualification. However, Uganda struck back quickly through James Bogre, who netted the equalizer. The young Cranes then seized the lead in the 38th minute, scoring what would prove to be the match winner and securing a historic qualification for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Qatar. The final whistle triggered jubilant celebrations from the Ugandan bench. This year marks the beginning of the tournament's new annual format, with Qatar set to host the next 5 editions. 10 African teams will participate in the tournament later this year. It's a heartbreaking end to what had promised to be a memorable campaign for the Gambia Under-17. The players gave their all on the pitch, and the fans rallied behind them with unwavering support. Falling just short of World Cup qualification will no doubt sting for the young players who dream of representing their country on the global stage, and for the supporters who believe in them every step of the way. Though the journey ends here, the experience gained will surely shape a stronger team for the future. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Well, this is all we have time for, but before we go, here is a recap of the headlines. Of the Gambia Revenue Authority's annual Taxpayers Award, where QCell Gambia Limited, the first Gambian-owned GSM company, retained the GSM Taxpayer of the Year award. Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallo presided over the 23rd annual meeting of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development Board of Directors or Governors held in the Gambia on Monday. The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy commenced a week-long training program on diplomatic etiquette and protocol for 12 senior officials on Monday. The Gambia Commission for Refugees under the Ministry of Interior commenced a 2-day training program for border security officers on identifying and referring individuals seeking asylum and refugee status in the Gambia. And in a groundbreaking achievement for Gambian agriculture, Evergreen Farm has successfully completed the country's first ever apple harvest, challenging long-held beliefs that apples cannot thrive in the Gambia's climate. This is all we have time for. To join us again at 10 p.m. for another news bulletin. On behalf of the entire production team, it's a bye from me.